In 2025, Malaysia is emerging as a quiet powerhouse that the United States should pay attention to. Once seen as a developing nation, Malaysia is now becoming a strategic player in Southeast Asia's economy, technology, and geopolitics. Its location near major shipping routes gives it control over vital global trade flows, while investments in renewable energy, microchip production, and artificial intelligence are helping it compete with Western nations. Malaysia's government is also strengthening ties with China and other ASEAN countries, reducing its reliance on the US dollar and Western influence. Meanwhile, its cost of living, stability, and rising education standards are attracting global companies looking for alternatives to China. What makes Malaysia even more impressive is that it's doing all this quietly, without loud politics or global conflicts. America should be watching closely, because Malaysia's calm rise could reshape Asia's balance of power. Have you ever noticed Malaysia on the map? Nestled between Thailand and Singapore, it's smaller than California. Most people barely see it, but behind the scenes, Malaysia is quietly building power in ways that could change the global balance forever. While the world watches China's military moves or Russia's headlines, Malaysia is using strategy, patience, and clever positioning to achieve dominance, without firing a single shot. Here's the most surprising part. Malaysia doesn't want to destroy America. They want America to depend on them. Right now, American companies are quietly relocating critical operations to Malaysia. Consumers are buying products made in Malaysia without even realizing it. Politicians are making choices that strengthen Malaysia while weakening themselves. In this video, we're counting down 10 reasons why Malaysia is the ultimate sleeping giant. By the time you see number 1, you'll understand why some Pentagon analysts quietly warn that Malaysia may be the most underestimated global power in the 21st century. Many people think Malaysia is just another former British colony trying to catch up, but honestly, they couldn't be more wrong. Back during colonial rule, the British divided society. Malays were focused on agriculture, the Chinese controlled trade, and Indians handled labor. Most countries would probably see this as a problem, right? But Malaysia saw it as an opportunity. English actually remained the language of business, while Malay maintained national identity. And today, Malaysian executives can switch languages and cultural codes in the middle of a conversation, depending on who they're negotiating with. Since independence in 1957, Malaysia has maintained stable governance, surviving crises that would topple weaker nations. Compromise here is seen as a strength, not a weakness. Meanwhile, countries like the United States struggle with political gridlock. Malaysia's society isn't just diverse. It's, strategically multilingual and multicultural. Just imagine a Malaysian trade delegation negotiating in several languages. Arabic for Middle Eastern partners, Mandarin for Chinese investors, Tamil for Indian stakeholders, and English for European executives, all without even needing translators. 60% of Malaysians speak multiple languages, and 89% are fluent in English. Now, if you compare that to the United States, only about 20% speak a second language. This really gives Malaysia instant access to global markets, plus a serious edge in diplomacy, trade, and negotiation. While America has spent years debating the value of diversity, Malaysia has quietly turned it into a global advantage. Malaysia has, perfected what you might call economic jujitsu, using other countries' strategies to their own advantage. For example, during the US-China trade war, American companies were looking for alternatives to Chinese manufacturing. Malaysia stepped in, offering political stability, an English-speaking workforce, and production costs that were about 70% lower than the United States. By 2019, foreign direct investment in Malaysia surged by 68%. Major companies like Intel, Motorola, and Western Digital moved critical operations there. High-tech production that's essential to both US military and civilian technology. By 2023, Malaysia produced 13% of the world's semiconductors, including chips used in American military systems. Malaysia isn't just competing, they're making themselves indispensable. While Silicon Valley debates AI ethics and remote work, Malaysia is quietly building digital infrastructure for the next era of technology. Kuala Lumpur is, emerging as the tech hub of Southeast Asia. The government is targeting 25.5% of GDP from digital sectors by the year 2030. It's already at 22.6% and still growing. Malaysian engineers earn about $30,000 annually, but honestly, they deliver work that's comparable to $150,000 Silicon Valley programmers. There are over 3,200 tech companies operating in the multimedia super corridor, including big names like Microsoft, IBM, and Amazon. Every year, universities graduate 50,000 engineers in fields like AI, cybersecurity, and advanced computing. Malaysia is, without much fanfare, becoming a global tech powerhouse. The Strait of Malacca is, well, a strategic geographic point. About $9.3 billion in goods passes through the Strait of Malacca every single day. This narrow waterway actually handles 25% of global trade, which is more than the Suez and Panama canals combined. Malaysia doesn't just control geography. They collect intelligence on trade flows, supply chains, and economic trends. They know which countries will be affected by global events before anyone else. China, India, Europe, and America all rely on Malaysia's cooperation. No military might is needed. Commerce itself is the weapon. Malaysia is everyone's friend, no one's enemy. During the Ukraine war, Malaysia condemned Russia's invasion, but continued trade while aiding Ukraine. In tensions over Taiwan, Malaysia maintained the One China policy while still cooperating with Taiwan's allies. They lead ASEAN, the non-aligned movement, and host joint exercises with multiple superpowers. The result? Malaysia is a neutral hub for diplomacy, commerce, and military cooperation. Malaysia dominates Islamic finance, a stable, growing alternative to Western banking. They control 60% of global Islamic finance, worth $2.4 trillion and growing 15% annually. Islamic finance forbids speculation, requires asset backing, and avoids risky derivatives. Malaysia sets global standards for Muslim-majority regions. As the global Muslim population rises, Malaysia gains access to rapidly expanding markets. Malaysia quietly controls some of the world's most critical supply chains, like tin, rubber, palm oil, and medical gloves. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they actually produced nearly 2/3 of all medical gloves worldwide. They also have a major role in rare earth processing outside China, which is absolutely essential for electronics, renewable energy, and electric vehicles. And, Malaysia isn't stopping there. They're moving up the value chain into areas like electronics, cosmetics, biodiesel, and pharmaceuticals. The United States, whether it's obvious or not, depends heavily on Malaysian resources, economic reliance that's often disguised as simple trade. When it comes to military strategy, Malaysia relies on asymmetric defense. Even though their forces are small, they're positioned in such a way that any attack becomes extremely costly for aggressors. For example, submarines stationed in the Strait of Malacca could potentially disrupt 1/4 of global trade. Their air forces are designed to project regional power while still being able to defend the homeland. Strategic partnerships with the United States, China, Russia, and Australia make any military conflict practically impossible. In Malaysia, defense, the economy, and diplomacy are all deeply interconnected. Malaysia, honestly, thinks in centuries, not just years. Vision 2020 set the groundwork. Vision 2030 aims for high income status and regional leadership. And Vision 2050? Well, that's about becoming the Switzerland of Asia, absolutely indispensable to every major power. Malaysia doesn't want to replace America. They want to be irreplaceable. Superpowers, corporations, and global markets all need Malaysia to function smoothly. By the time the rest of the world realizes this, Malaysia will have already won the long game. Malaysia isn't just a country to keep an eye on, it's already shaping the future. While others are busy focusing on the present, they've transformed multiculturalism into a source of power, geography into... If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And hey, click the bell icon to get notified about our next video. Thanks so much for staying with us, and we'll see you in the next one.